Okay, what is going on? Okay, so I've been using the Sidephone for, I don't know, maybe a month or so, and I flippin' love this thing. Now, this isn't some hot topic or some performative crap that a lot of people do with dumb phones and all these cool, unique smartphones or dumb phones, whatever you want to call them. People have to buy these up and make videos about, how interesting they are. And as interesting as it is, it's not just that for me. For myself, this really is just a dope ass phone, and I truly do love it. Now, the reason why I love this thing so much, just to sort of get into it right off the bat, is because I've been using a dumb phone since November 2024. So I've been really, truly committed to using them. Now, this is a tech channel. I've been using smartphones on and off. I might review the new iPhone. Sometimes once in a while, I'll hop back to my iPhone 13 mini if I do use an iPhone. And I can say that the Sidephone really does hit a perfect balance almost between sort of smart and dumb. Now, just off the bat, to let you know, there are no Google specific apps on here. So if you want Google Pay and Google Maps and all that stuff, it's not on there. This is sort of a device that's meant to be sort of a secondary device. In my case, it's my primary device. That's why it's called the Sidephone in the first place. Now, to not be some pretentious asshole and be super duper philosophical, the reason I use a dumb phone in the first place, oddly enough, is because I watched this flippin' movie, I guess back in 2024, called Perfect Days. And I've sort of talked about this in the past on this channel. And pretty much that movie is, there's no plot, really. There's no protagonist. There's a main character, but not really a protagonist. There's no antagonist. It's just about this guy who works a mundane-ass job, sort of as a toilet bowl cleaner. And this guy is just seemingly just the happiest dude on this planet. And he just lives such a simple life. He does the most simple things like enjoying a meal by himself, reading, just simply listening to music, and all those sort of things that, while fictional and all in this silly movie that a lot of people love, mind you, it's a great flippin' film, are things that any of us could sort of love. Now, that all sounds corny, so-and-so, whatever, blah, 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 but a big part of trying to just fake it till you make it on something like that is to, for myself at least, to cut back my screen time, and that's why I've been using dumb phones. So I love the Sidephone. I love the Modita Compact is another device that I use regularly, my Light Phone 3. I like using dumb phones, I like reviewing them, and I love technology in the grand scheme of things. Now with that, why people seem to be so interested in this device is because it's either interesting, it might play on nostalgia to a degree, but if anybody remembers those old ass Nokia phones from the 90s and 2000s, those dope little T9 phones, they just had a nice form factor. A lot of people now sort of want smaller devices depending on who you are, and this device has this whole mechanism here where you can sort of just swap out the little tiles. You just literally pry it out with your thumbnail, and you can just swap this device to be a different device almost. Now, this does have a tiny little touchscreen, which I love because it sort of stops me from just, I don't know, spending too much time on my phone. And what I really love are these little tiles you can swap out. Now, the one it comes with by default, I think, is the T9. So this T9 here, let me just zoom in. These T9 buttons, you can literally just obviously use it for texting, typing, tapping, whatever the case is. It works perfectly for dialing numbers. Otherwise, frankly, if I'm completely honest, I just remapped all of these keys. I don't use the T9. I actually don't really type. I wasn't really ever that good at it anyways. I actually just type using the touchscreen because it actually ends up still being a little bit faster. Otherwise, literally just dictating. But the other tiles here, you do have a tiny QWERTY keyboard, which this one is actually surprisingly interesting. Mainly because you start off super slow typing on this, and if anybody remembers the old school BlackBerry Pearls, I think those had a tiny compact QWERTY keyboard. But you start out slow and then you really do end up getting pretty quick with these. And it's just nice sort of having a tactile feeling while typing. And I'm torn between either the basic T9 or the QWERTY keyboard. It's nice to have. It's nice to be able to swap those two keyboards. And the third one, which is actually pretty interesting, is this little sundial keyboard. So this little sundial keyboard sort of takes me back to the OG iPod days, which I actually still use my OG iPod, funny enough. It is ready to croak because it lasts like 10 minutes on battery. But the little sundial keypad, this isn't a capacitive ring, but I really still dig it because it does do play, pause, and next and forward on your songs. Otherwise, every zone on this button here sort of acts as its own little key, I guess. So the big thing about this device is that it really does focus on key mapping. So if you are using the original sort of T9, you map those to either, again, the numbers that you want to dial out, text messaging if you want to set up T9 texting, Or otherwise, like I hold number 1 and it brings up my Apple Music. If I hold number 2, it brings up my audiobooks that I listen to. And again, it sort of ends up being a pretty awesome sort of experience when it comes down to simple usability, navigation and stuff. Now, quality-wise, I can say that a lot of the keys on the T9 specifically, maybe the QWERTY a little bit, they're a little rocky. So I feel like the quality could maybe be a little bit better. Definitely don't drop it. I feel like if you drop or damage those keys, if anything, it just feels like the keys are easy to break. Otherwise, again, this sundial one is my second favorite, if not my favorite one to use, just because, again, I don't really T9 text all too much. Now with that, again, this thing is a full-on Android phone. Like I mentioned, there's no Google services or any of that sort of stuff. So you're not getting Google Maps, Android Auto. There's no YouTube specific apps and stuff. If you're gonna be using anything Google based, you're gonna have to do that all through the browser, which you can do. Since this is an Android phone, they do have sort of these default libraries or app packs you can download directly from them. And those are just little sort of pre-set up packs of applications that you want to use for, you know, certain things like Uber. They have like a web app that you can use, otherwise mapping your keys, a bunch of utility to say. This is meant sort of, the ethos is more so to be like a utility based device. But let's be real, it's 2026. Some people love the novelty of this device and they want to use it for what it is, but also need some more control and power, which you can't have. Since you can't get Google Play Store in here, I downloaded Aurora Store, which is where you can pretty much download whatever's in the Google Play Store. It'll auto update your apps. Again, you won't have access to Google Apps, I'll make that clear, but there's a ton of alternatives. So you can get things like Waze, you can get banking apps, you can get stuff like investment apps, you can get games and social media on here. Technically, if you want to, would I use social media on here? I've tested it, it works fine. That's not my use case for this. But if you're buying this for the novelty of it because you think it's fucking cool, you put social media on it. This is your phone, it's your money. If you're buying this for whatever flipping reason, do what you want with it. So yes, you can get whatever apps on here as long as they're not Google based. For anything Google specific, like if I want to check out my YouTube analytics or if I want to watch a YouTube video, I can do that. I just open up Firefox and I go to youtube.com. It works perfectly fine. With that, because it's an Android device, you're getting all the other things. So I'm a music fiend. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I can't really go without my music. So this does have things like I'm using Apple Music, for example. Some of the other apps I'm using Open Bubbles. So I'm huge into iPad and Mac and iPhones when I do use them. So I need my iMessage. That's where my family chat is. That's how I actually contact my wife. And Android has an app called Open Bubbles. It's really easy to set up, like 5 minutes, I swear. And that gives me iMessage on here for my FaceTime calls, for my FaceTime audio calls, my messaging apps. Again, you have WhatsApp. Think of any Android app that you might want to use. You can probably get it on here as long as it's not directly from Google. And I love that. So when it comes down to things like my music, Bluetooth, it's there. If I want to hook up my headphones or my AirPods, I can hook up to that without any sort of issues. Otherwise, for the times that I do want to be a little bit more connected with all my apps, I usually actually still walk around with a flippin' iPad mini, which is the best iPad of all time. Everybody flippin' knows this. But I can hotspot my iPad, my laptop, and I can connect to whatever device I need to if I want to. And then there's just the basic fact that an Android phone is as customizable as ever. So for myself, the basic stock, I guess, Android setup is just basic. A blank white screen with a couple apps on there. That's all you really want or need depending on who you are. But I love my Niagara launcher, so I typically throw that onto every Android phone I use just because I like the way it looks. It's still minimal, but a little bit more functional, and that's what I use day to day. Now, what about all the other things? This phone is tiny as hell, and I absolutely love small phones. And it's the biggest reason why when I am using an iPhone, I'm using my 13 mini. And if I'm feeling brave, I'll use my iPhone Air if I do need a little bit more power. If I'm traveling, I'm probably using either my iPhone 13 mini or my iPhone Air. But I love thin and light. So this is right about, like, I don't know, like 140 grams or something. I'll put a little note here on how much it weighs, but this thing is flipping tiny and I love it for that reason. Now, because it's tiny, I can say depending on how you're using it, the battery is going to be either excellent or it's going to be bad, straight up, depending on how many apps you have on here. Like if I'm audiobooking my ass off all day, listening to a shit ton of music, this thing's going to drain naturally. Again, that's not really the use case, just be mindful of that. But if you're okay just charging this thing up every now and then, or if you're not going to throw down music and stuff on here, you have like 64 gigs of storage, I think. And you can sort of load your local files if you have, you know, a media player on there. Just be mindful of the battery. It's totally going to be dependent on your usage because it is small as heck. Separately from that too, there is a camera on here naturally with a lot of these phones nowadays. and it's not good. It's definitely not the best camera ever, as with a lot of phones in this price range, which is $299, I believe. And then the little tiles, you can sort of buy them separately at a different time if you want to, or all at once, whatever. So yeah, $299 is going to get you a very basic camera. I just snapped a photo. I'll leave it up here. So this is going to need a lot of light, but if I'm completely honest, in a world of perfect 48 megapixel, 100 megapixel cameras that have the best HDR, crisp, and post sharpening, sometimes it literally is just, I don't know, cute, to say the least, to have like a shitty photo to share. As weird as that sounds to you, it's either going to look charming or just super bad. So that's dependent on you. I like still having the camera on there. It'll do the job. Don't expect anything huge. The biggest thing for myself is because I use dumb phones so much, and I've sort of almost a broken record at this point talking about it, but I love shooting on just a real camera. It's one of those things that I've sort of grown to appreciate because I'm using these dumb phones that got technically pretty bad cameras, and it forces me to really focus on learning photography, learning videography, on whatever camera I'm using, thinking about composition, slowing down, and not just hammering my shutter button as I would typically on an iPhone. So that's just, it makes me sound like a pretentious douchebag, but that's just the truth behind it. So a dumb phone helps me learn photography because it's a way better camera, obviously. Now, of course, with a phone this size, the screen is tiny, so you're not really going to be consuming a ton of media on here. If you're watching a YouTube video, you're holding it sideways, which is fine, really. But if you're going to hop on Instagram, for this video, I literally loaded up Instagram on here just to see how it does. They run pretty poorly. I'm not sure what the chipset in this thing is, but it runs fine, I guess. So if you're looking for some quick Instagram or threads, I'm not going to lie to you, this is not meant for all that, but you can if you want to, just because it looks flipping cool. Do whatever you got to do. But what's missing on here? There's no front camera. So again, I use open bubbles on there for my FaceTime calls, and I would take a FaceTime call on my Light Phone 3. I would technically be able to take a FaceTime call on there if it had a front-facing camera. It doesn't have that, so something that's not there. There's no NFC. So if for any reason you are doing file sharing, or not that there would be tap to pay here without Google Wallet, but there's no NFC. If you want to use it as a key card or something, it's not there. What else is missing? There's no waterproofing naturally with the tiles they're going to swap out, and there's also no auto brightness. So that's one thing that sort of that's probably the biggest thing that I'm sad that's missing on here, is that there's no auto brightness, because sometimes I'm constantly changing my brightness, whether it's indoors or outdoors. And of course, again, everything Google is missing. No auto, no Google Pay, no Play Store. So you can sort of get around not having Google on certain things. Again, youtube.com, you can go to googlemaps.com. All those things still work on the browser. So, but yeah, that's just my thought on the Sidephone. Excellent, cool ass device. Use it as a dumb phone, smarten it the hell up, put all your socials on it. Doesn't matter. It's just a dope ass phone that can do that if you want it to. And I really appreciate that fun phones are coming back. The last like 10, 15 years has pretty much all been, smartphone slabs, which is fine. I mean, these are beyond incredible smartphones. I love reviewing them. I still use social medias, mind you, just so I'm not lying to you guys. I'm more intentional about it. If I'm going to use it, I will hop on my computer, hop on my iPad, and when I'm out and about, I like using a dumb phone. I'm more present for myself. I'm more present for my family. I still have my music. I still have my audiobooks. I still have Google if I have to sort of search something up. But I'm just happy these fun-ass devices exist. If I'm to say my favorite is probably going to be either this one, the Sidephone is likely my favorite one, maybe tied with the Light Phone 3. The Light Phone 3, just as a reference, is way more expensive. It's like $600, $700 at this point US. I think the Sidephone might be $299, which I think is a fair price for what you're paying. Some alternatives, if you don't want the Sidephone, there's going to be the Chin F21 Pro, which is going to be about the same size as this one. It's a lot older though, so it might not perform as well as the Sidephone, but it does have Google services. So if you're going to hop onto AliExpress or whatever the hell it is, you can get that one. That one will give you Google Play, Google Maps. You can, download whatever. No NFC on that one as well. Otherwise, if you're okay getting something a little bit larger, there's the Chin F25. These little T9 Android phones, I'm absolutely obsessed with them. Other than that, again, if you're going full on dumb phones, there's a million options out there. I've made tons of videos on dumb phones, but yeah, that's my thought on the Sidephone. I'm stoked this thing exists. I've been using it for a month and a bit now. Try and be like that guy cleaning toilets. Just live happy, doing the normal, the mundane, the boring, because, I don't know, fucking go outside and touch grass and all that fun stuff. Dumb phones rock. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.